The regular council meeting for Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024 is called to order at 7:01 p.m. We're going to have a moment of silent meditation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Mayor Nickerson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Perella.
Here.
Councilperson Erbon.
Present.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Present.
Councilperson Martin.
Present.
Also present for the record, Janice Jacoby, Village Clerk, and Christia Liu, Village Manager.
Very good.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Approve of the agenda. We only have one agenda item. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Martin. Do I have a second? Second by second by Vice Mayor Perella. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing none. Moving on, good and welfare. This first good and welfare is for those who have a comment for an agenda item, anything on this particular agenda. There's also another good and welfare at the end, and for each agenda item, I'll also let you speak at that particular time. Is there anybody for the first good and welfare? Seeing, hearing none. Moving right along, consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Moved by Councilperson Erbon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing none. Moving on, agenda item 9001 Northeast First Avenue, tree planting and property improvement inquiry. Can I have the resident come to this podium here? Clerk Jacoby is right now passing us around some pictures that the resident is providing us. And you have by your seat, an email from when this first started. And it first started, and the email says, "Good morning, Mayor Nickerson. I live at 9001 Northeast First Avenue. I have invested a lot of time and effort to improve the front yard of my property, including the right of way. I've planted new grass in the whole corner, and I'm trying to request permission to the council to plant 2 small palm trees in the front, which makes the front more beautiful and uniform with other plants I have. I was recommended by Camilla and Franco to present my petition in the front of the next council meeting on March 28th. It's been a while. Since the variance process wouldn't apply here, my efforts to plant these trees in the right-of-way is a benefit for the village to help to keep improving our community surroundings with warm looks. I ask your help to be able to present my case this coming Tuesday. Thanks in advance." So what's happening here, and I think this is another one of those things about us attacking that whole thing with the swell and stuff like that, because from what I gathered from talking to Scarlett, he's planting, so he's improving that area, but officially you can't plant anything in that area without permission, even though residents do it all the time when they improve their swells. So basically, I guess he wants to come and do it, or he's coming to do it the right way, which is to get permission from the council. And this is one of those things that I think that we need to really look at and update, because residents do their swells all the time, or they're improving their swells all the time, but officially you're supposed to come get permission from the council to do that. And although most residents don't do that, he's doing that. And so that's kind of where we're at. Just say your name and address for the record, and explain the pictures that you have provided us with.
Alberto Fernandez, on 9001 Northeast First Avenue. On the pictures, to start from the beginning. Yes. When I applied for the permit for the driveway, these palms, they're actually in the middle. Right, they're actually in the middle. Right, they're actually in the middle of the driveway. Zoning told me that I needed to leave that rectangle which is it's city soil. So basically, you need to ask permission for anything planted. I do some work of construction in other municipalities like City of Miami, and when you have something like this, zoning actually, they make you plant in City of Miami. You need to plant a palm tree in there. It's actually not. It's a must. You have to do it. So I went ahead. I planted the trees. Obviously, I wasn't gonna leave that rectangle in there. You know, it looks ugly. You know, like that. So I was trying to improve. And also in my mind, I was trying to comply with the city because I thought that was gonna be something that is gonna be required. I passed a few. I passed all the inspections in the driveway. They came. They saw the tree, zoning. Building, everyone. The issue didn't arise to me until Ms. Fritz, co-compliance, came and told me I need to ask permission. I was a little bit confused because I said, I thought I was doing the right thing. I passed all my inspections. So he said, you need to go and ask the council because even though it's your property, the council needs to say, yes, it makes sense to plant a nice palm in our soil. And the other pictures are before and after pictures when I bought this property a couple of years ago. Not only I made improvements to my landscaping, but also I did a lot of improvements to the soil that belongs to the village. If you see, that was practically dirt. I planted brand new grass, not only in front of my house, but also the side of my house. If you see on the pictures before, that was nothing. So I planted 150 feet of new grass, and I installed by permit with the village a brand new sprinkle system. So I made a lot of improvements, not only to my property, but I wanted to bring value also, to the city as well. And I'm here to do things right, like Mayor said, have the pumps the right way. I don't want to have any fine or anything like that in my property.
Okay, thank you very much. So I guess that they were just concentrating on these trees, and I'm looking at them now. So I'm looking at what you're referring to. I'm going to turn it over to the council. Questions and comments from the council.
Is the code enforcement person here? Okay. Anybody want to go? Because I looked at this. I haven't talked to him because it wouldn't be right. I could have, but I didn't. But I know what I want to say.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right.
Well, I'm sorry, Dr. Ward, if you'd like, I can attest to the code does state that any resident who wants to plant a tree in the swale has to come and get council approval. It's not just to plant anything, or your ground cover, what have you, it's tree
It's true.
planting. Mhm.
So, that answered question number one. Did you look at the code? Okay, that's settled. I know when you moved in that house. I know what it looked like before. What is so, I like the idea of shade, but because there's a sidewalk there, I guess that's the problem.
No, they're not in the sidewalk. If you see,
I'm
there,
looking at a
it's
side-
it's
what
a
is
driveway.
that? What is
No,
that?
no, that's not the picture. Maybe, look, it's this. I can show it to you right here. Yeah.
Right here?
No, that's a driveway. That's my driveway, actually. It's not in the sidewalk.
Okay, so what's the difference between the two? I'm really asking good questions. I want an answer. This is on your property, inside of your driveway, inside of your fence. Okay, what's going on?
Public right of way. It's between the road and the sidewalk.
So
In the
this
swale.
picture is correct?
It's in the swale. That's the
No.
other side of the house.
No, that's
No, you know
separate.
what? Why you got that?
I just wanted to show that for the improvements, how it looked before, the whole area of the right of way and the improvements that I did myself.
So where's the problem? If you already planted trees, and you're talking about this backside.
There's not technically,
Yeah,
there's not technically a problem.
yeah, there's not technically a problem,
Right.
just that Mr.
Okay.
Fitz came and said, you need to go and ask proper
Okay.
permission to do things the right way.
Can we, Madam Manager, whoever she is, just kind of let people know that? Because this is the first time I ever heard that. Most people can do this.
Yes, so I'm actually, I know this has been very disruptive, but I'm actually pleased that
this is something that was caught by our code enforcement officer, it gives me hope that going forward, we're going to achieve success of addressing the French drains and these types of things that are just gone in without, going through this process, right, in terms of swales. So my only question is are the palms native species?
No, they're the ones allowed by the city, by the code.
Okay. I believe it falls in line with what we're trying to accomplish through the upcoming charter in terms of promoting canopy and this type of activity exactly. So, had you applied for a fence variance sometime before that?
I did.
You did.
Yeah.
I remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that very well. So, I remember that very well.
Yeah,
So,
yes.
I just want to say that thank you sincerely for going through this process correctly. I know that it has been disruptive, but this is where we're trying to get to in terms of we had no genuine code enforcement for 10 years minimum, right? Perhaps as long as 15 years. So, just in the past, just really since the pandemic, we've been getting up to speed with code enforcement specifically, and there.
Can we keep going?
Yeah. So that's fine. Do you have anything?
No, I can let you finish.
I'm
It seemed like you
no,
were in the
I
middle
really-
of your
she-
thought.
we have a good relationship. She correctly identified that I was already
And he
finished.
shuts me up when he needs to. So we're okay.
So,
Yeah, so I don't know if I have enough information to correctly analyze this, because a big question mark for me would be, why are trees not allowed to be planted in this way? Like, why is there that prohibition? So can someone, that's why I would think that this would be like in a planning and zoning meeting where we had the Cordano group or someone else to expound on.
Well, it's established in the code for the Village Developer TAL. It's section 20-2. Planting trees and shrubs and streets require permission of council.
Uh-huh.
I'm assuming that the purpose is to ensure that invasives aren't planted,
Okay,
or that there is some control over the canopy and what will come,
yeah.
I think it was an attempt at that. But this predates my term, or
No, I
probably all
can
of our terms here, I
imagine.
don't know.
I
With a
could imagine.
purpose.
I just think to go ahead and say that this is okay, or to go ahead and say that residents just can put whatever tree they want in the swale as long as they subjectively perceive it to be an enhancement, I think can lead to the sort of like ad hoc and inconsistent development that might ultimately end up in this being not as attractive or not as cohesive as we want it to be. So I'm not saying that it is a wrong thing to have planted it. I think the format within which that I'm asked to analyze this is a little difficult, because I would love for someone to give me some background on why this prohibition is there, and also to expand on what is the comprehensive plan for village-wide to either allow trees or allow particular types of trees. So I think you're caught in a situation where the ultimate goal is to have something that is more cohesive, but we're in the process but not there. So this decision is a little difficult for me. That's my thoughts on it.
I have one final thought. I'll be concise. So this sounds like, to me, I like having this charter process get going, and then to finalization, I feel like is where we will get the answers to how should it be. So I'm looking forward to the charter process being completed. And then I would imagine, I'm not gonna raise my hand as an expert, but I would imagine that the initial restriction on trees being planted in the swales would be because depending on what you plant, you might be eventually putting in root systems that tear up the sidewalk, tear up the street, road wear, this type of thing. So I'm sure that's part of the calculation, but I believe this would be something that the charter committee would do phenomenally well to address.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
Thank my colleagues. This is your house?
Yeah.
This is what it looks like. So you're right there on that corner, right?
Yeah, that was
I know, but I got a real question. You got this big old tree right here that's subject to beat up your property, and it was there when you came, right? You know that's got running roots, right? Okay, and it's still there, and it's not even 5 feet from the middle of the whatever, right? This is a huge tree. This is our tree. How do you know? Because I got 2 in my yard, okay? It's gonna tear up your house. This is on the other side of the right-of-way because it's on a sidewalk. You have the benefit of a sidewalk. So if these trees act like that tree, it's gonna tear up these sidewalks. That's my only concern right now, that they may tear up, they may destroy the sidewalk. That's my only concern. And to tell you, you need to have this checked out, because these roots are not small. When it was planted, this is a pretty little tree. But I watched that tree grow, okay? Now, we're talking about out here. Is this the same tree as that tree?
No, that's a regular palm, but the palms that I'm talking are not those.
You just speak in the microphone.
wrong picture.
You're talking about a palm tree.
Yeah, or not those.
You're talking about a palm tree.
Yeah.
You're talking about roots that don't grow deep. You're talking about a palm tree. Roots that don't grow deep. Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. So you're looking, the picture that you're looking is not the right picture. It's,
So why
that
did you give me this?
picture-
Wait, why did you give me this?
that was a before picture for another point that I was trying to make
So this has
about
nothing
the
to do with what
improvement.
you're asking.
Correct. It's just to improve, how I improved the overall condition of the outside.
Alright.
That's where the trees are. There's no sidewalk there. That's in the middle of my driveway.
This is,
And those are regular palms. They've been like that for 2 years. They don't grow more than that.
okay.
They're very safe. I have them all over my property, believe
You're
me.
trying to plant these?
Yeah.
You're trying to plant these?
They're there.
Did you have a permit to plant these?
You don't, to plant those, you don't actually need a permit. It's permission from you guys.
And these are what you're trying to plant still?
correct.
And these are where you want to plant them?
Yeah.
What's the issue?
Uh,
Somebody said just do this because?
Correct.
Yeah.
See,
Mr. City Council and Mayor, it sounds like it's unfair. That's the only thing I'm getting down to. It sounds like it's unfair. It's the same set of trees. He already has them there. It's a beautiful piece of property if you haven't seen it. And I just don't know, I commend whomever sent you so that we can document on the record for future whatevers. But I don't know where the problem is since it's already there. And they don't want you to plant any more like this? Where
Well-
you're trying to plant it?
If I can clear
No,
that.
I want to ask you.
Okay.
no, I'm not planning more. That's about it.
What, you're not planting this anymore? What are you trying to plant
They're there already. They're there already.
already?
So the issue is that I plant them, I pass all the inspections, and
Mhm.
none of the inspections raise any issue about the
But
trees.
this time they did.
Yeah, and the code compliance inspector came by and said,
Yeah.
even though you have palm trees and they comply with the code, they're still in the right of way, city soil, you need to ask permission.
Shrubs in the streets
Yeah, that's the
require
proper way.
permission. This is in the streets? I
Is,
see your house.
even though it's
mine.
inside my property, it's called the right of way. Yes. it's-
Or other public places, it says, or
Yes.
other public places.
We got a problem. This is not invasive. This
It's
is not
definitely,
brand
yeah.
new. This is something that has been part of the property for years. I failed to see, for my fellow council people and the mayor, I failed to see where the problem is. No, we have not spoken. It's just I was concerned because I know this property, I have to pass it a lot, and I didn't see it. But if it was one of them big trees by your house, then I would be right there. But I know these trees, not by name. I mean, I know these trees.
Yeah.
I know where the
I know
roots
what you
go,
mean.
you know, and I just
Excuse
didn't
me.
understand it.
Councilwoman, I think the issue is that this violates the code. So he put the trees there, but according to the code for the village, he cannot have those trees there.
So he's
Is
gonna have
that
to,
correct?
It's only that because of the consequence of something like a tree or a shrub that would either block the vision of right-of-way, right, or would disrupt the sidewalk or the street, right? For that reason is why the code is saying that permission from the council is required.
Yeah, so
That's-
that means
So
that you
there's no, like, it's, as long as we would agree tonight that it is okay for him to have those trees there, then there is no longer any issue. If we would vote the other way,
But the code contemplates you getting permission
Correct.
prior to.
correct.
So he
Right.
currently has it, which is why Fitz sent him, because if it was
Yeah.
just fine for him to have it,
Right.
I'm assuming it would be wild for Fitz to then just stop and say, hey, stop by Village Hall. He cannot have the trees because they are in a right of way, they're somewhere that they shouldn't be. And then we need to engage in the analysis as to whether or not we want to say, yes, this is permissible. And also, we have to be aware that we're setting a precedent as to whom gets to put what tree in the right of way. And I think that that's a difficult analysis to do without some sort of guidance from our topic area experts, are the Corradano Group or Camila or Placervia. So I think that is the issue that we're mulling on right now. And it might be the will of the council that, hey, it's fine, maybe you guys are more tree experts than I am, but I do not know what planting this type of palm will do in the right of way. But I would love for someone who's knowledgeable on the topic to give me some guidance so that when I'm making the decision, I'm making an informed decision that is not ultimately going to prove to be some sort of detriment to the village. So I think that is the sticking point where we're at. And maybe our best move is to table this, talk about this comprehensive revision of these items, inform the code enforcement officer that we are aware of your property and not to, I don't know if we can do this, but hold off on taking any sort of punitive action against you while we figure out whether or not this is something that we do want to allow in the future. So would tabling be something that's like reasonable for us to do with this instruction to code to kind of hold off on this property?
Absolutely,
Okay.
Councilperson Mark. Vice Mayor Pearl, I don't know if you want to make a couple comments or just.
No comments. I actually echoed everything Councilwoman Martin has said. The best thing will be tabling the item until we actually have expert opinions about whether this is something that is harmless or not to the
I'm in
area.
I'm in disagreement and would have just one more comment to make. So this is a one-off. The way I'm reading this is each individual occurrence of a tree or a shrubbery going into the swale would require permission from the council. And so I don't see a conflict with allowing this resident to move forward with his life while we acknowledge that this is another example of knowing that parts of our code are outdated and need to be addressed, and that this would be highlighted with either one of the urban planning groups to take up or put on a punch list, whatever running list they have for items. So I see this as a acutely individual issue at this time with this resident, and that we have now become aware of one more piece of our code that needs to be brought into modernity.
If I may add something, because I got a fine, I was actually fined by doing this planting, and again, I think some of the things that may improve the process of avoiding things like this is that I had inspections done by Public Works, zoning, and building. They all passed with the tree right there. So I'm being penalized for something that they already should have correct in the process, and they didn't. Now, the code is the code. I didn't write it, I don't know who did, but the code says that you cannot even apply for a permit to do this. That's what I said, my experience with City of Miami. If in City of Miami, they make you have some kind of space between your driveway and the sidewalk, they they make you actually plant a tree in there. It's mandatory. That's why I said it should be the same here. And then when you apply and you said the kind of tree, obviously Public Works look at the tree and said, hey, yes, it might damage, or no, it's allowed. But the way the code is written here, that's not even possible. That's why zoning said we cannot even review. So the only way is you show up, variance doesn't even apply. You show up at the council and they say yes or no. The tree that you're planting is within the trees allowed in the code, so you should be okay. It's just a matter of them saying yes or no. Now, because I already got that small fine, it's not allowing me to get my certificate of use, and that has big impact in me financially. And you know, I'm here. I have a family. I'm busy, so I've been trying to resolve this issue. If you look at the date of the email, it's gonna be almost a year. I've been trying to fix this issue. I've been doing all my effort, you know. And again, you know, I think it's kind of fair, all the improvements that I've done to the right of way. I'm not even referring to inside my property, but that's why the before and after pictures, ma'am, that I present is for you to see all the landscaping that I implemented and the sprinkler system in the right of way. So by postponing something that is already set that way, it's
So
penalizing.
I will say this. First of all, thank you for adding that additional color to it, that you have kind of been in this predicament for a while, that you do have that fine that's precluding you from moving to this next step. I appreciate all of that, because really, I don't think any of us will say that the code is written in a way that we would 100% stand behind. And you're correct in what you put forth. It's a little unwieldy to have to come before the council every single time you want to plant a tree. Maybe there should be some enumerated trees that are okay, some enumerated areas where planting in the right of way is fine. So I get that, and I apologize for the inconvenience that has taken on your business and your family, and I don't take that lightly. So yeah, it's an issue that we have to tackle. Maybe in the context of your situation, you've done enough waiting on this topic. So I will say that.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Martin. Anybody else, last questions or comments before I turn to the residents, the audience? Okay. Anybody from the audience have any questions or comments about this particular item? No? You guys are good? Support from the audience. Turn it back to the council for any last questions or comments before I ask for a motion.
How was may I ask, were those things that are already in the right of way already there when you moved? You're trying to mimic what's already there, right? It's
Correct.
already there. You're just trying to mimic what's already there, right? You just wanna add more of these same trees
Correct.
where these other ones already exist.
Correct.
This is not a brand new thing.
Correct.
If we, Mayor, if we had the history on whether the trees that are planted right now, this is where my confusion is. The man already has these things where he's trying to put more.
No. The case is, those trees didn't exist. Those trees didn't exist before. He planted them there, and without knowing that he needed permission from the council to plant those 2 Christmas palm trees in front of his property on the right of way. That's all. It might look harmless because it's a small, palm tree. I honestly don't see them, lifting or breaking
They won't.
the sidewalks or anything. It's a matter of going through the proper
Process.
procedure and all of that, which he said it. I mean, he went through all the inspections, just like the inspectors didn't see the double side driveway that he built, because it was approved with a master plan, which it was supposed to be a sub permit for the driveway, so he got away with it. The way you see the artificial turf right on the side in front of the property is not allowed. That is something that I know is ongoing as well, and it has to be taken down by code. We're not allowed. The code doesn't allow for that. And so it's a few little things. So I guess code enforcement, that's why he brought it up to our attention, because he's been going to that property for quite some,
Let me just say thank you so much, because that, now the picture is whole. What you just said just made the picture whole.
Right.
and I appreciate that. I see the problem now. I see it now, okay? And unfortunately, that changes my way of looking at it, because what you just said wasn't said earlier. If they were planted already, but not necessarily permitted, then I have a problem with that. That's all it is. Thank you.
All right. Everybody good? Okay, so this is where we're at. So we either have, on one side, we have where we can table it, his trees stay up, he doesn't get any further fines until we figure out on our end what we want to do.
That's fair.
We have on the other side, we have that we can make a decision. The decision could be yes. If the decision is yes, his trees stay up, he can move on and get his occupational license and move ahead with what he needs to do, and that's the end of it. If we decide no, his trees come down, and that's the end of it, then he has to pay the fine, and he has no trees, and he tries to move forward with his occupational license. Those are our three options, you guys. So, essentially, we're here because in our code it says if anybody wants to plant a tree in the right of way, they need council permission. That's basically what it is.
Right.
So, and I understand with the other stuff that's going on, but the other stuff is not on tonight. You know, whether it's his driveway or the other grass or whatever, that's not on. So we're only talking about trees. If anybody wants to put trees in their swell, they have to come before the council. And like I said in the beginning, which, you know, this is neither here nor there. I'm not saying that this is a positive for him or negative for anybody else or negative for him or whatever, but people improve their swells and plant trees all the time and don't even take out the respect to come to us.
Right.
At least he's doing that.
That's right.
So keep that in mind also. With that, we have three options. Do I have a motion for any of those three options?
I would like to move to.
In the mic.
Well, I thought I had it on, sir. I would like to move to allow the presently existing trees.
Okay. Do I have a second for that motion?
Say it again.
Second by Councilperson Lightfoot
No,
Ward.
say it again. I
Oh,
heard it, but I didn't understand.
The
it.
trees as they are currently, right now, I move to approve the trees that are
Stay.
there presently.
Is that good measure? Because that's not what he's here for.
That is what he's
for
here,
something else.
yeah, yes, that's what he's here for.
To keep them the way they are?
Mhm.
I didn't read that nowhere, but okay, to keep what you have, get some more in place. That's your due.
No,
we're-
no.
The motion is voting to allow him to have the trees.
Mhm.
That's
To keep the
motion.
trees what he has.
Yes,
yes.
correct.
Okay, that's the first one, or that's a piece of it?
That's all of it.
That's the motion, allowing this
the whole
resident to
cake.
have the trees. Do I have a second for the motion?
You have a second, but I didn't know that that's what, according to what we've been reading, it says he wants to plant more trees.
No. No. It's to keep those two that he already planted.
The two that he already planted.
Mhm.
Why am I looking at 3 trees? In the right of ways? Cause I ain't seen Jack.
In the right of way, he only planted these two right here, these two set of trees. They come
Okay.
in pairs like that.
Okay,
So
I know.
these one back here, they were already there.
Okay,
So he just planted these two on the swale.
okay.
That's it, that's all.
All right.
That he's here for, to allow him to keep those trees over.
But you have a second, right? You're seconding that. Yeah,
Do we have a second?
yeah.
Yeah, so-
Councilwoman Lightfoot Ward seconded.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Martin. So it was moved by Councilperson Urban, second by Councilperson Martin. Madam,
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
sorry.
No,
Second
it's
by
okay.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Thank you very much, Councilperson Martin.
Sorry, I was just asking, that has to be noted for the file, because just in case he sells the house, something has to be documented.
Noted on the records.
No problem. It was moved by Councilperson Urban. It was second by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Okay,
Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call?
roll call, Councilperson Martin,
No.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward,
Yes,
Councilperson Urban,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Peretta, Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
get to keep what you got.
All right. Thank you very much, you all. Appreciate it.
Well, but we got two sides to that. He gets to keep what he has, Can he do more?
No.
That's another-
We're,
that's
it's,
another-
we're good, we're good, we're good. Yeah, we're good, we're good,
I
you
think he
guys.
only wants these two.
Yeah,
He
thank-
doesn't want
yeah.
any more.
Thank you very much, thank you very much.
Very good.
There's another topic, the shrubs, that's why I see the other picture.
Ah,
Is there shrubs there
there's
also?
a shrub somewhere?
Yeah.
You talking about this thing right here?
In the right of way?
No, they're in my property, and I think that was a huge misunderstanding of understanding the.
That's
code.
not for here though, right? No.
No?
No, no, no.
No.
No, we're just addressing, yeah,
No,
we're just
we just-
addressing
no, that's right.
trees in the right of way. So you're good,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah,
Take
congratulations.
care, have a good night.
Yeah, congratulations, yeah.
So I'm looking at him, I'm
Me
like,
too.
so I'm looking at him like, you better get out of here while you want.
Yeah,
Don't
the
say nothing that's
struggle-
gonna mess it
the
up.
struggle is over.
Like, you sure you wanna say something else? Attorney Geller.
Just a point for the mayor, for the council. So you've decided, according to your code, what you're doing on these. You may wish to direct your planner, in conjunction with me, to look at the issue and bring you back a proposed revision. You don't have to do that, but you could try to change your code in a way that would be more consistent for the future, so it doesn't affect your decision's done.
I understand.
Okay. But I mean, you don't have to do it now either, but if, in listening to you, there was some discussion about what it ought to be, what it should be. I understand that somebody said this is a one-off because these are two trees that have been there and, you know, there were inspections and everything, so you've made that decision as to this. But I'm just pointing out, you have the option of asking the planner to bring you, in conjunction with us, a proposed amendment to your code. And if you direct the planner to bring you something or a couple of options to look at, it doesn't obligate you to make a change. You could see what the change might be, look at it, think about it, and if you ultimately decide, no, better to leave it the way it is, you can do that. But I just pointed out only because I heard some conversation about, well, you know, how it, maybe you think it might ought to be when it's not the unique circumstances of this case.
May I address that, Mayor Nickerson, please?
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Manager.
Attorney Geller and members of the council, we are already doing that. An item will be before council in March from our urban planners and our senior engineering firm to create a resiliency and sustainability component that will be amending the stormwater master plan, and will start some resiliency planning for the village. That came at the direction of Councilperson Martin when we did the whole swale presentation that we had to remove from the agenda because she wanted us to go back and be more, I guess, inclusive. But that has been a project that Councilperson Martin, the Vice Mayor, and Mayor Nickerson have been working on with me for a few months now. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. Okay, thank you very much for putting this. Okay, moving on, you guys, to the reports. Madam Manager, your report, when you get a chance.
Okay, well, that was a part of it, but I will make it brief since we have the benefit of a light agenda tonight. I just want to alert the members of the council and our community that the village has submitted our two legislative requests of the state of Florida. We're requesting, again, this year, we're requesting funding to allow renovations for the El Potel Police Department in the amount of $482,000. As you all know, we've always been hamstringed by the fact that we don't have matching funds for the amount of money we need to do some of the corrective or even capital improvements around the village. But we are requesting that of the Florida legislature this legislative season. And we're also requesting proceeds for the continuation of the El Jardín stormwater improvements in the amount of $200,000. So I will meet with the Florida League and other managers and administrators every week on Mondays to just get the feel of what's happening in Tallahassee. And I'll forward you anything that comes down the pike that also affects, other areas. I know that there are some things related to building department, like the speed of permitting and all of that, that it's being considered. These are not passed yet, but these are items that could affect the way we do business as well, so I'll keep you posted as those things happen. Also, speeding and traffic accidents. I mean, over the past 2-3 months, especially on Northeast 2nd Avenue at 87th Street, there have been some accidents and lots of reports of speeding. The village is responding as quickly as we can. As you all know, we did a mobility study for Northeast 2nd Avenue. We have a road diet that we have proposed to Miami-Dade County. We're just sadly still waiting for that red tape to kind of clear up, but we're waiting for permits and permission from Miami-Dade County to impose some change with the road diet that we'd like to create those single lanes for north and south, going north and south. But also we're also waiting for the permits necessary for our speed signs. As you know, we've lowered the speed limit throughout the village, but we just don't have the signs permitted yet from Miami-Dade County. But we have identified a vendor. We're just waiting for the blessings from Miami-Dade County. So those things are still in the works. But additional to those things that are a little bit slower, our police chief, Chief Mendez, and his team are ramping up their presence in the area and preparing a multi-departmental enforcement plan to be implemented. I won't say dates and times because, this is law enforcement, but they are working with the city of Miami, Miami-Dade County, Florida Department of, I'm sorry, I think it's Highway Patrol. The department is coordinating with Joint Traffic Task Force, Miami-Dade County, City of Miami, Miami Shores Village, and the Florida Highway Patrol for assistance over several days in reducing the speeding and enforcement in that corridor. So I will keep you all posted. We, want to ensure that our residents are aware, but and know that we're going to be very stringent about what's happening there. I mean, there have been race parties there. I know New Year's Eve, a huge event was there at 2 o'clock in the morning at that intersection, hence the skid marks throughout. So it's something that's happening countywide, but we are trying to do our part as well to ensure the safety of our residents and our streets. So so that is happening through Chief Mendez and his department. And then, as I mentioned before, Pluserbia and Craig A. Smith and Cordino Group have been working with me, and we actually made a presentation to the Sustainability and Resiliency Task Force about 2 weeks ago through Mayor Nickerson to get the feedback of the Resiliency Task Force just to see if they had input on this new green resilient swale and street plan. We're using studies that were created over the last few years, including that which Councilperson Urbaum had commissioned at one point about implementing one-way streets in certain areas. So we're looking at everything, and a presentation will be made to you all for the March council meeting that will be more formal, but do know that we are addressing the swell issues as best we can because this continues to come up. In fact, this morning at the special master's hearing, we had 5 cases, one of which was again about a gentleman who had been fined and cited for swale infractions, but again, having the issue of not being able to plant grass. As Mr. Simmons has stated several times, there are other things you can plant besides grass, but that's what people want to plant. And if they don't want to do grass, they want to do rocks. And so we're working on that, and we hope that we'll present something to you next month that will be satisfactory to you. And I'm sorry, for February. I don't think if I said March, it'll be February. Okay, so that concludes my report, but if anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out directly to me, and I'll have this manager's report posted on the village website. Thank you. Oh.
As you point out correctly, the legislature over the last 3 years or so has started just about requiring a local match in order to make an award. Didn't used to be that way, but right towards the end of my service, they changed that. And so, but there is one nuance to that. They don't require a particular, they don't require a particular source of the match. So in terms of the renovations to the PD that we simply don't have the money to do, it's possible that you could pursue through the county, either through our county commissioner or through the mayor, seeing in view of our small size and fiscal constraint, whether there would be some kind of county grant that could be available that if the county gave us, you could put up to Tallahassee and say, this is our local match, and even, you try,
I can't hear you.
you have that. Okay.
Any other questions for the manager? All right, hearing now, I want to thank the manager. I want to thank all of us up here, you guys, for that green resiliency option. And so, you know, Councilperson Smart with the swales and all of us like focusing on different things coming together, I think it's going to really move El Portal into the future in a major way. You know, the manager and I are always on funding calls all the time, and we're always looking for more funding, more funding, more funding. The way that this as a whole kind of came about is because we were looking for funding with stormwater, our stormwater master plan, our wastewater master plan, and what ended up happening was that we were looking at it. We had Chairperson Carpenter on with us, who was the chairperson of the Sustainability and Resiliency Task Force. And, you know, her passion, you know, she's also the executive director of the Everglades Law Center, and her passion for environmentalism and green, and greenways and things like that, she started asking the question about, like, well, with our stormwater and our wastewater master plans, you know, can we put bioswales and things like that? And we were like, well, we might not be able to do that. And then after we got finished with that whole meeting, myself, Manager Lou, and Orlando Rubio, our engineer, said, you know what we should do? We have our stormwater master plan, we have our wastewater master plan. We should make a separate stormwater master plan and wastewater master plan that are more geared towards like environmentalism and not just, you know, the regular pipes and the regular, but like the environmental aspect of it. And I said, you know what? And we not only did that for it to be, you know, more environmentally friendly, but what it also will do, because I said, well, you know what, you guys, what's really good is that it seems that, you know, as time moves on, everybody's more starting to recognize more environmental and mental situations. Because if you think about it, it wasn't 20 years ago when you had one political party say that climate change didn't even exist. You see what I'm saying? And so it's moving more in that direction. And I said, well, this is what we should do then, you guys. We should make both, because the way I feel, the way we all feel, myself and Madam Manager, the way we feel is that, you know, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when, you know, as we more move into that direction, there may be just as much, but if not more funding for a green wastewater master plan or a green stormwater master plan instead of just a typical one. So let's have both. So, you know, and let's always now, you know, once we get the green one finished, let's start going for money for both in both directions, and whichever one breaks through, then we just have another option of funding that we can get that's out there if we have those plans already ready. So that's, you know, it's going to be really good, I think, for El Portal in the future. That being said, the mayor's report is there, you guys. You guys can see it, go through it. Any questions, everybody has my number, my email address. Text me, call me anytime. That's what it is. Attorney Geller.
One matter. There is a new state law that impacts us. There's a new law about public advertising. It's always been newspaper of general circulation. But because of a new state law that I will say I think it's a terrible law editorially, I fought it for 7 years successfully, but my last year they finally got it through. They now permit public notice to be done online instead of in a newspaper. That's resulted in a lot of newspapers that relied on that revenue starting to shut down as far as actual printing. The Daily Business Review does not do a hard copy anymore as of January 1st. So there is a website that Miami-Dade County has established. I've talked with the clerk about this issue. The Clerks Association in Dade County are pushing this out. There's kind of a model ordinance for it. And what it does is it permits the municipality to provide the notice online, and one method of doing that is through an interlocal with the county that is now, working with a particular website. It's not mandatory that we do it, but it is something municipalities are moving towards because the costs of advertising in a newspaper are now becoming more expensive because you're kind of stuck with going with the Herald, although, there is still community newspaper, and that's another possibility, and there's some move in that direction. So I would suggest that you don't have to, again, you don't have to approve it, but I'd suggest to the council that you allow me to proceed in consultation with the clerk and with the manager to prepare a proposed ordinance for you that amends your current requirement of publication in a newspaper of general circulation in keeping with the new ordinance. You may choose not to adopt it ultimately, and like I say, I don't like it that they did that, but they've done it, it's the law. We could continue to require advertising and to place our own public notices in newspapers, but the cost of that is increasing to do that. So I would propose to draft something, bring it back to you for consideration, and at that time, when you look at it, and the clerk has done some work on it, as I mentioned already, and the manager has, obviously is impacted by it as well, with a budget standpoint, you can decide when it's before you if it's something that you want to adopt or not.
Thank you, Attorney Geller. Yeah, I really want to thank the clerk. The clerk is always up on top of these things. And weeks ago, the clerk contacted me and said, "Hey, Mayor, heads up. They've, they're not going. We can't go through DBR anymore. And the Herald is not only way more expensive," she said, "but the Herald has different qualifications." So as soon as it came down, she called me that day a few weeks ago. So thank you both. But yeah, the clerk is always up on top of those things. Appreciate it. Any questions for the attorney?
Is that a yes that I should proceed with it, or?
Yeah,
or
because
we don't just decide to bring ordinances to you unless somebody asks me or I ask you for it?
yeah, I think so. To be clear, what Attorney Geller was saying was that right now it says that we're required to have the advertisement in the newspaper. The DBR was great for us just because it was cheaper and the qualifications weren't good. The Herald is much more complicated. I don't know, Clerk Jacoby, if you want to go a little bit more into that, because you were the one that first looked into that.
I had brought it to your attention. I just don't feel comfortable right now. I don't have enough information in order to proceed. He's right. They have met. The clerks have met, and they're looking. They've even talked to the clerk of courts that they were going to do it through them. I don't feel comfortable that I have enough information to proceed other than with the newspaper right now. I did speak to the president of the Miami-Dade County Clerks Association after I found out, and he told me that Miami-Dade had to adopt it before we can adopt it. For my department, and since it does fall under my department, I don't feel that I have enough information for me to move forward with an ordinance.
And to be clear, I don't want to sound like I'm saying you need to do it or recommending it at this point. Both the clerk and the manager have kind of different concerns. The clerk has the getting it done, the manager has budget concerns. But whether you adopt it or not, now I'm not asking you to adopt it, but I am asking permission to bring it to you because I think it's something you need to look at. And, you know, you'll have 2 readings because it's an ordinance. So, you know, you could consider it, assuming we can get it done. It is a little complicated, but assuming we can get it done in time for February for first reading, assuming Miami-Dade has done everything that they need to do by that time. Otherwise, first reading might have to be March, but you still have 2 readings. You can look at it, you can consider it, you can ask questions about it. And like I said, I don't like the law, but it's not up to me. It's up to you. And I do feel that since the law has changed and there is a cost factor involved, that it's something that you should consider. But if it's not something you want to get to just yet, you know, you're not required to.
Yeah, just to be clear for clarification purposes, you guys. So Attorney Geller is saying that because we, in our ordinance, you know, because the way we do things, we have to advertise in a newspaper, or periodical newspaper. And therefore, we used to use the DBR. The DBR was much more friendly, much more cost-effective and things like that. The DBR doesn't exist anymore. Therefore, now it's basically the Herald. The Herald is much more expensive. The Herald has different qualifications. Therefore, what Attorney Geller is trying to say right now is, should I start to look at an ordinance that changes, that says that we have to always go through a newspaper? Because if that's the case, if we're locked into using the Herald, then it might change our budget. It might change the way we do things. So should we have an ordinance that gives us another option out in case it comes down to where we're stuck with the Herald?
Exactly.
So keep the ball rolling. Do I have a motion to give Attorney? I'm gonna do it all in favor, you guys. Do I have a motion to give motion?
Mayor, we don't need a motion. I'll just, if the council, I'll take just consensus of the council, because
I was gonna do all in favor, aye. That's what I was gonna do. That's what I was gonna do. Motion to have Attorney Geller start to create this ordinance. Motion moved by Vice Mayor Perella. Do I have a second?
Here's the second.
Second by Councilperson Martin.
Second.
Second by Councilperson Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
No.
Hearing none. Oh, 1 nay. The 4 ayes, 1 nay. The ayes have it, guys.
I'll work with the clerk and manager, and we'll bring something before you as soon as we can get it together.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right.
That concludes my report unless there are questions.
Are there any questions or comments for the attorney? Okay, hearing none. Moving on, good and welfare. This good and welfare right here is a second good and welfare. Anybody can come up and talk about anything at all. Not only things on the agenda, anything on your mind. Just come up and say your name and address for the record, and the floor is yours.
Hello,
Hi.
8525 Northeast 4th Avenue Road, Scott Kobrick. So, yeah, I just wanted to address something to, I guess, understand the process of trying to propose a change. I know that there's going to be some work being done on the various ordinances, and as far as the noise ordinance, something that I think is very, very important moving forward, considering the enormous amount of development that's taking place in El Portal and the surrounding areas, that there's some sort of relief for the residents from construction work once it kind of gets a little bit crazy. And so I wanted to potentially propose modified hours than the current ordinance says. And what I would like to propose is Monday through Friday, like, you know, a lot of several other neighboring municipalities have, Monday through Friday, and no construction work on weekends. Currently, this is something that I know that I've been before you before about noise because of my proximity to the sort of corridor where there's some, there's the skateboard as well as what they're building the Cavista. Now, as I understand, there's a potential project being done on the old trailer park property, as well as the launch at Little River, next to the Cavista, as well as a bunch of projects on Northeast Second, et cetera. And so I wanted to understand the process of trying to put that before the council or how that might get done.
Yeah, so this is the process. You let us know, like, your thoughts about it.
Sure.
And then we keep that in consideration when we look at these things moving
Okay.
forward. And that's the process. So you started the
Okay.
process.
Great. So is there
Alright.
something like, because I just remember in the past, I had seen like somebody had presented a sort of idea, and then the council voted on it. Is that not like, is it able to get as an agenda item on?
That's what he's
You,
saying.
you would,
Okay,
you could stay in touch with me.
Sure.
And I would basically be the one taking the suggestions to
Okay.
the code enforcement committee. Generally, I mean, any committee member obviously can, but I would suggest just stay in touch with me. And that's what we're working on right now, so.
great. Yes, so
Congratulations, you started the process.
thank you.
Yeah, don't
I
talk
just
too
wanted
much.
to propose what, my thoughts are, which would be Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 type of situation, rather than the existing Monday through Saturday, still, yeah, until 7, I think it's 7 a.m. until 7 p.m., which, like, I think everybody will realize when they are even close to a construction site, which I think most people will in the next 5 years or so, that you hear it from blocks away, and it's a constant all day with the trucks beeping, backing up, jackhammering, et cetera. And there's really no relief when it is Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's kind of a constant part of your life. So I think, it would be really nice to have a little bit more relief, especially because this is like supposed to be sort of an oasis that is close to the city. Just in terms of pointing out that there are several other municipalities close by that have, no work on Saturday and Sunday, and those kind of modified hours. So just wanted to say that, so that's up for consideration, and also ask, is there any other ways to make it more possible that this is something that would get passed by getting more residents, sort of on board with that, or something like that?
So, first of all, let me say, your suggestions noted by not only the Chairperson Urban, but also with Manager Alou. As far as, any support you can get is always a positive thing, right, in government. So if your neighbors feel the same way, residents all around you feel the same way, for sure, bring them. I'm sure Chairperson Urban will welcome them to his code enforcement meetings, and that's where, everything will start to be discussed and talked about.
Great.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you very much. And then one other topic that I wanted to mention.
Wait, because
Oh.
you said a lot. I got something to say.
Oh.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead,
Okay.
Councilperson Michael.
You come often with the same stuff.
Mhm.
And I made it my business to see what you have to deal with.
Mhm.
Mayor, we are not under any manager, we are not under any obligation to keep a business in this city that keeps being disruptive. Am I correct about that?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay, I didn't ask the attorney, I asked the manager. In having done that, years ago, if it had been me doing that, I'd have been shut down a long time ago. Why are we still playing with this? If it's noisy, and it's not if, it is noisy. I've been there. It is noisy. Why are we continuing to have this business in the city limits when we know already it's a very much a distractive and unpleasant liability? I just need that answer, because if we shoe on the other foot and I was doing it, they'd have shut me down. The council would have shut me down when I first moved here. I know it because I tried to do something and I was shut down. Am I right, Mr. Attorney? So why are we still dealing with this if it's not getting any better? I would rather see another company than to keep doing this. We need to close it down. This has gone on too long. And you're such a diplomat. You know, you're such a diplomat.
Thank you.
But I'm in this circle with you because I know if it was me, they'd have shut me down 20 years ago.
Yeah.
End of the issue.
All right, so when somebody violates something, they get fined, and the skateboard's been fined tens of thousands of dollars. How much has his fines been?
About 15,000 to date. Even today, they got a
And-
fine.
and-
How much
Officer
have they paid?
Rodriguez.
And that's, but originally, when he went to the first hearing, master's hearing, and the second master's hearing, both of those, like, give me the total fines, Madam Manager.
It's about $15,000
Do
total.
we have it? Did we get it?
Was it five?
Two fives, and then today was another 5.
Okay, so it was 15 total? Okay.
That's enough.
And so there's a process to this. That's the first thing. Second of all, when he's allowed, he gets fined. Second of all, the difference between, a resident and a business is that he's in a zone that's zoned for business. That 83rd Street right there, that's a business corridor. And so that's another difference in that. But we understand, and he's been fined. When he gets out of pocket, he's fined, and we go through that process. So that process is being done.
Has he paid?
Yes, he has paid up to date. He did not come to the hearing today, but he will receive his bill, and we'll expect some payment. But I think Mr. Scott was talking about construction noise, and you want to limit the hours of construction, because we also have that going on as well. And that also encompasses the renovations that your neighbors do on weekends and, early morning. So, as the mayor said, and as Councilperson Urban said, please present your proposal.
Thank you very much. And yes, that is accurate, that, it's still, that other issue has still remained to be a problem up until very recently, but I am aware that hopefully that is being followed up with and being hopefully going to be, taken care of to some degree if they don't comply or whatnot. So thank you all for that. The other issue the other topic that I wanted to bring up was with respect to especially talking about like the greenways and sort of the sustainability and so on and so forth. I'm not sure if everybody has or people have noticed, but there is a homeless man that is hanging a lot of trash in the trees around the neighborhood, and in particular where I am with the train tracks, behind the train tracks there on those sort of vacant properties.
He's tying plastic bags in trees, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
yes. And various parts, and that he's covered quite a bit of ground, and I just wanted to find out if there is any sort of like cleanup or anything like that that is done regularly. I'm not sure if like there's a volunteer type of cleanup committee or anything, but wanted to understand if there's any sort of thing in place or how to maybe organize such a thing so that there could be cleanup of that and potentially other sort of trash and pollution litter throughout the village.
Yeah, so when it comes to, and we've had that recently, when it comes to any trash that's within the village, our Public Works Department takes care of that. Some of these areas, though, are like right outside the village also. And for that, it would be City of Miami or Unincorporated Miami-Dade. But if it's usually on the border, we'll usually take care of that also. He seems really persistent on his plastic bag hanging. But we. Yeah. Yeah, it's all over the place. Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
have to put up with it. Come on, people, we don't have to put up with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But we don't have to
He's,
put No,
he's made quite an impact.
Yeah,
He gets
yeah.
a lot done in a day.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
But as soon as we see it, as soon as we hear about it, we respond, right?
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Great.
And-
And, but is there any way that, is there any like, sort of, village, cleanup, anything like that happens, or?
So it's interesting you mentioned that. It's really interesting you mentioned that. Myself and manager Lou, we're looking at a quarterly village cleanup
Okay.
that we'll be starting
Great.
to talk about pretty soon. So,
If I
Wonderful.
may,
Yeah.
for one second, all of those things are valid things, but it seems like you do have an urge to organize your neighbors in support of these worthwhile tasks on your end. And I think for sure the village is spearheading a lot of those things, but please don't let that preclude you from doing it as well. Because maybe there is a spot where our code enforcement officer can't reach it, doesn't see it, our public works officer can't reach it, doesn't see it. And if you see a way that you can fill that gap and make the village better for us all,
Sure.
feel free to get your neighbors together and organize that as well. We're doing the best we can on our end, and having that support is valuable. So
Sounds great.
thank you. We appreciate you tonight. I
Thank
think we
you
have one
very
more
much.
comment. I think
I-
Pascal?
yeah.
Pascal.
Yes,
I
thank
think
you
we have
so
two
much.
more
We
comments.
appreciate
Yeah, we
you.
have two more. We have
Okay,
two more.
awesome.
Are we
Pascal,
going to a new subject? Are
Yes.
we going to a new subject?
good
I know, but
welfare.
are we going, can I entertain him?
Uh,
Because if this is a new subject,
Sir, come back up. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward has a question for you.
first of all, thank you. Secondly, we didn't always have the situation. Third, is it always in the same place all the time?
No, it's, he's been kind of getting all around, as far as up as Miami Shores.
I've been here
and-
31 years. The reason why I'm asking the question, we never had this situation. He had to know something. He had to know somebody. He had to, something is keeping him doing that.
Sure,
Do you have a name, address, phone number? He's homeless,
right.
but you don't have a name. So I'm curious as to what we have been, what if anything we have done, law enforcement and otherwise, to minimize this foolishness. This is one person in a village that's 2,700 people, and you mean to tell me we can't figure out how to make this person either move away, get out of here? You cannot be homeless here and acting up. It just doesn't make sense. You've given us this report once, and I'm saying the solution is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a solution, because I don't come here for the dumb stuff. I come here to make sure we can go forward, okay? And knowing that this is happening does not speak well to how much we appreciate the village, how we appreciate the village. And we appreciate the village, but to see something recidivistly done is not making sense to me. So unless there is a remedy, I don't want to hear this report again. I want to know what is being done, if any, or how it's being done. Put me on the committee. I don't really care. I just know that I didn't move into this village because I saw a lot of trash. I moved in this village because they didn't want me here. Okay, I'm a civil rights radical. That's why I moved here. That was 31 years ago. Now you telling me trash over there? I will book, so help me. Catch this scoundrel, have the police there, get him arrested, and tell him, don't you come back in the city no more again. Something can be done, but this I've heard too many times. You understand where I'm coming from? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
May I add, Mayor Nickerson, that we have reached out to Miami-Dade County. He's all over Miami-Dade County. It's not just El Portal, and he doesn't live here in El Portal. We have reached out to Miami-Dade County, South Florida Water Management District. It's also along the canal. This is not just an El Portal matter. So the other municipalities are engaged as well. This person has had an intervention with county services. They are trying to address his issues. But he operates in a way that we don't see him doing it. You know, we aren't seeing that he's doing or when he's doing it. We just take the bags down, but when he sees that they're down, it comes back and puts up more. So at this point, there's some kind of intervention from a mental wellness perspective that they're trying to address with this gentleman. That is what we are doing. You know, if you have any other suggestions, please feel free to reach out to me and Police Chief Mendez so that we can maybe find, you know, something else. I know you may have some answers or some recommendations. We'll take those.
Do we know his ethnicity?
Never seen him.
Okay. I rest my case, Manager. I do. Unacceptable.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it. Yes, thank you.
Pascal DePool, 177 Northwest 90th Street. You guys know me a little bit. I wanted to thank you guys for moving bulk trash from December to January. That's awesome. Because we don't have, you know, Christmas with trash in front of the houses. I think that's lovely. However, today my street looks like a little hurricane blew through there. Because the way that trash got picked up is ridiculous. We have broken
Unacceptable.
mirrors on the street. We have branches all over the place. If Fitz comes by my place right now, he's gonna fine me for how my place looks with what trash is on the floor that didn't get picked up today, that was in there. So, I don't know, you guys regulate us heavily with SDRs, obviously, and all the other things that we're talking about, like the gentleman here with the trees. Who is following our vendors to make sure that they're doing the right thing? Because at the end of the day, I'm responsible for what that swale looks like once the truck's left. And nobody's gonna find the truck, they're gonna find me.
So, so thank you, Mr. DuPaul. So this was something that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is like the first time it's been like this.
It is, yes.
So, and we're gonna, Madam Manager, we'll contact and see what's going on. Why this time all of a sudden things have changed? Because you weren't the only one.
Right. we
There
have
were other
reports.
individuals that contacted us today and were saying that, like, hey, like, Mayor, hey, Manager, what's going on with bulk pickup? Like, they're really sloppy this time.
They are.
Yeah.
And this is the first time they've been sloppy like this. They say usually, you know, they usually, because that claw can pick up every little thing, so usually afterwards they'll go and sweep up or pick up little things, but this time they didn't. They just picked up what the claw picked up, and everything that left, it just left. So they would like leave like broken mirror pieces on the street and things like that, and all type of stuff. So I don't know what happened this time. It's the first time, but we'll get to the bottom of it, Madam Manager, and figure out what happened.
Absolutely,
Mayor.
and I did report it to the vendor when I received that message earlier today.
Yeah,
So
in the-
hopefully they'll be back, because
in
they'll
the
be back
past-
tomorrow and the next day.
In the past, they've been great.
Yeah.
Where the guy's hopped off the truck, he's raked things off. I've gone up to the people who are doing
me
it
too.
and saying, hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys taking care of not taking that claw and digging up half my swale, because I'll get in trouble with that too. But being careful with it, but then coming back and raking it up, picking everything up. The place, we've been in the village for almost 25 years. It's been spotless every
Spotless.
single time. This is the first time. My question to you guys is just, who checks up on the vendors? Does Fitz spot check and come
Staff.
by and take a look, or is
You
that
mean for like trash and bulk pickup
not
and
normal trash?
like afterwards?
But like bulk trash.
Yeah.
We do
Well,
that
bulk
4
trash-
times a
Public
year.
Works.
Yeah.
Both has a different.
Yeah, we've never had to, because we've never had this problem. You know, moving forward now that, you know, this happens, now we're gonna have much more of a keener eye on it. But, you know, for, like you said, for all these years, we've never had this problem. So we didn't have the code enforcement car driving behind them just to make sure, because we never had this issue before. But now that we know, moving forward, next time we'll definitely keep a larger eye out on
I
what
mean,
they're
I've
doing.
seen the supervisor of the trash guys follow them around or spot check and things. And I don't expect, you know, Fitz to trail every truck. That's ridiculous. But just, is that on us now that we have to start reporting that?
No,
Or
no.
I think it'd be great if, you know, Fitz would take a look and say, hey, you know, this looks like a mess. And then
No,
when we call you guys say, you know what, we know about this, we're already on it. I
Yeah.
appreciate that you are today. I know this is today. I know it's the first time. We're just working so much on improving the village right now.
Mhm.
Don't forget your vendors, please.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Also,
it.
I know bulk pickup is more of a matter for public works. It's not something that Fitz would be, he
The
does code
incentive.
enforcement for residential homes. So public works would be the entity within the village that addresses
Well,
the
Fitz is gonna fine me for what my property looks like right now, not
Okay,
Public Works.
but I understand, but you're
But
asking
you're-
who
okay.
followed up on the
Okay, perfect.
vendor's contract and the work that has to be done. So through Public Works, we reached out to Coastal today with the pictures that we received. And we asked them to address that tomorrow, as well as being more careful with the pickup tomorrow. We'll
Perfect,
see.
yeah,
But
that-
yeah, if you keep us informed, an email is fine. We'll route it and bear all of those things in mind. But this isn't going to be code enforcing on bulk pickup tomorrow as the collection is going on.
Perfect. Yeah, we had a mirror, the neighbor out across the street from me had a mirror that's shattered in 1,000 pieces, that's lying on the street right now.
Yeah.
So it's not just, hey, there's a couple of branches. I don't
No.
mind picking up a couple of branches, that's not a big deal. But once we have stuff in the streets, you know, we had debris in the streets. It literally looked like a hurricane had gone through through the street. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Mr.
it.
Mayor,
Yes, go ahead, Councilperson Lightfoot.
Madam Manager, did we always use Coastal? The same vendor?
Yes, they won
We've
the
always
bid.
used Coastal.
They won the bid that
Okay.
we awarded 2
What I
years ago.
saw, because I was, you know, I'm retired, I can stay home, see everything. What I saw was a total disrespect for what's on the street during boat pickup. That's what I saw. They did not get out the truck and rake and finish the job. They just simply came in a hurry, did 1 or 2 grabs, and kept going. Not at regular speed, but at, what do you call that, bulk something speed? They just rushed continuously through the village. I was not happy at all. When I stepped outside, by the time they gave me notice that they saw me, they turned the other way. So they know what they're doing. If this is a contract, right? It's a contract. They are hired by the county, right?
No, we
No,
hired
no, no,
them.
no.
What do you-
Bulk pickup is a what?
It's a product that we purchased through our, through competitive bid.
Okay, good enough.
It is the
And it's been
regular
that way.
waste pickup every week, 2 times a week, and a quarterly bulk pickup. that
Well,
we-
I'm bold. I called them. I'm bold. I
You
called
should
them.
be, you're paying
And I
your
said,
taxes for that, you should
Thi-
call
this-
them.
Not only were they hurrying, they were laughing, acting totally unconcerned that you're in a neighborhood, and it upset me because I've never seen such disrespect. Pick it up, put it in the thing, keep moving. That's not bulk pickup. There's a lot of stuff. So when I saw it, and I stood at the street corner while they're driving off, when they saw me, they turned the other way. Didn't even finish. So I'm thinking the truck is full. The truck was not full, but they didn't care. So I don't know what's happening. I just know what you just told me. It's the same company. I did make the call. I was told they would come back. Still didn't come back. I don't have anything. What they didn't pick up, I put in the canister, but it's not, no. How much we pay for that? Do you have off the head what we pay for bulk pickup?
No, it's paid through the residents' taxes.
Okay, so it's in the taxes, so they're getting their money.
Right.
That's,
$430 a year,
$435 to do the whole village? Oh, no.
No, that's what we paid in our taxes for our non-government.
But look, it's 2,700 people in this place. So do the math. That's a lot of money to do reckless work. That's my pet peeve, period, because I moved into the village when it was clean and kept clean. But this foolishness, oh, no. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Our next individuals for Good and Welfare, just say your name and address for the record. If you're joining her, you can come to this podium if you need to.
Good evening. I'm Kaidi Benedicto, residing at 352 Northeast 89th Street. Thank you for this opportunity to be here, along with our architect, David Baker. So I'm here in the hopes of seeking resolution on an error of interpretation on the village code, as we're planning for our home expansion. The code in question is the definition of lot coverage, which according to the publicized code is the area of lot occupied by all buildings, excluding structures such as decks, pools, trellises. Based on our conversation with the Corradino Group, our plans will be limited by approximately 500 square feet because our driveway and walkways are being included in the square footage of lot coverage. The Corradino Group also agreed that the code is not clear, which we heard earlier. The house is 1,100 square feet, 2-bedroom, 1-bath that we moved in 2022. The additional square footage is meant to meet our basic needs and comfort. The design was planned so that we continue to live in our existing home during the expansion, simply for financial savings, and also designed for our parents, so my fiance's parents, as we're both not locals, so they stay for an extended period of time. We believe this is unfair and unlawful practice with significant financial impact in the future. We're not asking for a change in the code, but honoring the code, and we feel like the error is depriving us from best use and enjoyment of our property. So I'd like to pass it to David to provide more context.
Yeah. Say your name and address for the record before you get started. Oh, it's not working? Oh, okay, sorry.
David Baker, 262 Glendale Drive. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I am here to try to rectify, as my client said before, what I believe to be an error in interpretation of code by the authority having jurisdiction appointed by this council, which is the Corradino Group, in regards to what constitutes lot coverage. This began, when my client hired me to do a design for an addition to their property. I read the code carefully, and I began my design. Along the way, I had a doubt about a certain issue, the placement of an auxiliary building. So I wrote to the Corradino Group and asked for clarification. Simple thing. What is the distance that I may have this shed from the building? The code says, auxiliary buildings have to be 15 feet, but is a shed considered an auxiliary building? And they told me yes, and I accepted this. I said, no problem. But then they also told me, please give us the calculations for your site plan, because visually this looks like it does not comply. And I told them this very much does comply. I've checked these calculations over and over again. The building lot coverage is at 40%. And they wrote me back and they said, no, you need to include the driveway and the walkways in the front. I said, I'm sorry, but I haven't seen this anywhere in the code. And they said, okay, no problem. They wrote back and they suggested I have a meeting with the director of zoning, which I did over Zoom. And again, I told them that I believed that they were mistaken, that the lot coverage only means the buildings. And then I asked them to please show me where in their code it is required to include these hardscape items. And they explicitly told me it's in the definition of lot coverage. So we looked up lot coverage together. And this is exactly how it read. Lot coverage, the area of the lot occupied by all buildings, excluding structures such as decks, pools, and trellises. There's no mention of hardscape. I don't find this ambiguous. I find this direct and clear. I do not see how this can be interpreted any other way. Regardless, the Corradino Group told me that that is their interpretation. And I told them I do not disagree. I'm going to have to talk to somebody else. They suggested I speak to the village manager. So I did. I set up a village with the village manager, my client, and the mayor. And we met. A month passed by before we were able to meet. And when we did meet again, I read to everybody the definition of lot coverage. Just in case of there was any confusion, building is also defined in the code. So I read the definition of building. Any structure having a solid roof intended for shelter, enclosing of persons, animals, chattel, property, equipment, or process of any kind of nature, excluding freestanding tents, freestanding awnings, and cabanas, screened enclosures, building function,
Sir, I'm
definition, and
sorry to
configuration.
interrupt you.
No problem.
How long do you plan to have your presentation be?
I'm trying to go as quickly as possible, sir.
That's not my question, sir. How long do you plan?
2 more minutes.
The reason he's asking is because there's typically a 3-minute limit on these comments at this part of the meeting.
And I want you to also understand that the council is in good and welfare, which means they hear, but there's no action that could be taken by the council tonight.
I understand, 100%.
You're permitted to, be heard on something, but your remedy, to the extent there is one, you can apply for a variance, and that variance might be granted, and that variance might be denied, and you have certain appellate rights. But at this moment, it's not a matter before the council. It's something that the council at this point cannot act on this evening. If the mayor or a member of the council is inclined to let you finish up for 2 more minutes, that's their pleasure to do, and that's their discretion. But I want you to understand, it's not like somebody could say, oh yeah, I agree with them, and a vote could be taken on this.
Understood, 100%, sir.
And Mayor, as far as whether he gets another couple minutes, you or any of your colleagues is entitled to.
Yeah. No, so everybody knows me. Everybody knows that if it's good and welfare, I've never cut off anybody. That's the first thing. Second of all, I understand this, but I think he's going pretty quickly. And third of all, for example, this gentleman right here went way longer than 3 minutes. Nobody had a complaint. And he has 3 questions. So we're just going to be fair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So during the meeting with the mayor and the council, this time the Karen Diego group argued that they should be allowed to not just include the driveway and the sidewalks, but all the impermeable area into the lot coverage, okay? Now, this means that if you have a pool deck, if you have any deck at all, it's gonna count into that 40%. Okay, and they're saying, and the reason that they gave is that it's not defined, the difference between impermeable and permeable.
Let me jump in. Real quick.
Sure thing.
Kind of like shape this. So basically what I think, so where he's going more or less. So first of all, you understand, like you're explaining to us, but like the Scarlett's not here, the planners aren't here. To speak for myself. So, but we did have a meeting, and let me just kind of sum this up, and then I think they'll be able to understand what you're saying, so what you're saying doesn't go in vain. So we had a meeting, and what came out of the meeting was the different information that they were getting. And Scarlett in the meeting, Corradino said she agreed. She said yes. She said there are things that are in our code. There are things that are ambiguity. That's ambiguity. And she said there's things that it's not consistent. And so in that respect, she agreed with them. Then she gave them the option. She said, well, what you guys could do, even though it's basically because of the non-consistency of the code, but what you guys do, you guys have an option where you can do a variance. Their argument was, but if the problem is on the village's side where the code is not consistent or ambiguous, then why is it that we have to pay $800, $900 for a variance if the code is not consistent? So that's basically where we're at. So they didn't want to do the variance, and they're coming, I think, tonight just to, as a council, kind of like let us know what's going on and to try to say it's really not fair to them because our code is inconsistent, basically.
I'm sorry, Mayor, that's not quite right. I'm arguing that the code is very consistent. It is very clear, and it's very explicit.
Yeah, because in the meeting you said that, oh, this is what it's saying right here, but Scarlett was saying that she was able to interpret it in a different way, and Scarlett was saying that the reason why she's able to interpret it in a different way is because the code is not 100% clear and consistent, if you remember that in the meeting.
I do remember that,
okay.
But it is clear and consistent, and I'll explain why. Okay? We're speaking about 3 variables here. One is building coverage. One is green area. One is impermeable. In the code, building lot coverage by definition is defined at 40%. Green area is defined at 25%. If we have 3 variables and 2 of them are defined, it is very easy to figure out what the third number is. It's the remainder. It's 35%. If you guys adhere to this definition, you're taking away hundreds of thousands of dollars of value from every single home in El Portal. If you adhere to this, you're taking away millions of dollars from commercial properties. Can you imagine if somebody with a commercial property was suddenly told that their parking lot had to be considered part of the lot coverage, when in the code it's defined as just the buildings? It's insanity.
Yeah. Why don't we, I make a suggestion.
I'm sorry, Mayor. Is this gonna come before the council?
Let me
Yes.
hop on this.
Because he needs to register as a lobbyist. He's lobbying for his client, and that's the protocol.
Well, let me hop on this. This might solve everything. Because it's going to come down to the decision of, do you guys do a variance or not?
Sure.
That's what it's going to come down to, that decision. So let's do this. Because I can kind of see how things are going right now. Let's do this. The same way we decided on the trees today, because this is the thing. They've gone through their permits. They've gone through all these things. So this is like the last thing, I believe.
No,
you guys
we
haven't gone through that.
Yeah.
So we did the right thing by asking regarding the ancillary shed. And that's where this question came up, or this issue came up. We would not be seeking for a variance. We've waited a month for this meeting. The variance, from my understanding, is a minimum of 2 to 3 months, which we just don't have the time and luxury. Like, my mother moved early next year. So we're just asking for clarification on the code. And we wanted to bring this attention of another code being unclear.
Yeah. So, all right, because this is the way this is going to have to go. We're going to have to go through planning and zoning if the permits haven't been done yet. And we appreciate you asking the question. We understand the month, but it was during the holidays, so right. So that's the reason why the meeting took a month to happen. We have to do it through planning and zoning, and there we can kind of start to make those decisions with Scarlett with us about, with the given information and the case that's presented, if they have to do a variance or not, Chairperson Martin.
Okay. But wouldn't we be deciding on whether or not to grant the variance? You want to have, because Scarlett seems like she has already proffered a decision in this. So I understand your certainty, but it seems that the city staff that is employed to do this is in opposition to what you're saying, or has a different understanding of the items that you're interpreting. So what exactly would we be voting on if you guys are unwilling to apply for the variance?
We will be voting on, with hearing, and I think maybe with hearing Scarlett in real time, because Scarlett did say they can apply for a variance, but Scarlett did admit multiple times in that meeting, yes, I can understand because the code is not consistent. I can understand there is ambiguity. Yes, I understand what you're saying, because, so she was saying all of those things. She said, but kind of at this point, you can apply for a variance. And I think what they're saying is that, well, before they move with that, they want to go through a process to kind of present it to us.
So this would appear as just a discussion item, essentially.
Well, I think they want a resolution. So
the resolution might be that what Scarlett says is fact, and you need to apply for a variance. So if that's the resolution, doesn't that just push back your timeline
that
even
would
more?
push back the timeline.
I guess I'm just trying to really settle on your aversion to following what the
For
Corvino
me,
group says.
we will follow and proceed, because we just don't have the time and luxury to keep waiting. But I do want to just bring this up to be an issue, that it's unfair to the residents to be told that the code is this, in the same meeting also told, I understand it's unclear. Yeah. In the same meeting, I'm also told, go ahead and apply for a permit and a little bit of see what happens. I think we know, as I go through this process with our architect and the construction company, it's money we're spending for revision over and over again. So I guess that is just a point I'm trying to make.
No, I can imagine
of
that that's
avoiding
frustrating.
it. And, you know, we will follow what's said. Maybe I was hoping for clearance, like, you're right. We'll follow what's said and proceed.
No, I do want to say that I can imagine that you guys have a lot of like your expectations and plans tied up in like this one thing, and it's frustrating to be stymied in any way or to hear things that you're like, hey, wait, that doesn't make sense. So I get that. And if that has happened on the Corradino group's end, then I think that they should explain why that wasn't more clearly communicated to you. I just want to explain to you, because I want to be clear to you. Having it appear on planning and zoning as a discussion item, it might result in expediting, but it could also result in a further delay. So then you would have to make that decision. All I ever want to do is provide clear information so you can, you know, pick the path that fits best for you. So there might be an agreement that your interpretation is correct. However, since the city staff that has been employed for this reason is going to maybe advise us in a way that is different from what your architect is saying, this might just result in a further delay when you could apply for the variance, have us hear the variance application at the planning and zoning meeting, and then we would be able to vote on something a little bit more concrete for you. So I just want to like package that for you.
Yeah, and just my last note, knowing this information, we would not have proceeded with our driveway. So we went through the proper permit, that was approved. We just closed that in early October, knowing that our driveway would have been included. And so I guess that's where also just the added layer of
course, it's disappointing.
complexity
Of course.
and I guess frustration,
No,
as
of
you
course.
mentioned, but I respect that, and, you know, we'll discuss and move
No
forward.
worries. And from this conversation, what I take too is like we need to figure out as the village a more comprehensive way to get an idea of what the complete plan is for our residents, so that someone could have advised you a little bit more clearly or differently. So I get that, and then you'll just have to pick what the process is, and you guys did a good job zealously advocating for yourselves, and I think we're all aware of what the issues are, and I run the planning and zoning meeting, and I took your address down, so whenever we see you in whatever capacity, whether it's because of that variance application or as a discussion item, I'm sure we'll all keep you in mind and be very clear-headed about what the problem is.
Yeah, I think a good thing is that, you know, them coming here, I think it, first of all, again, you know, kind of lets us know things that we need to work on as a village, because, you know, she may be the first one in this predicament that we've heard from, but she won't be the last if we don't, you know, clean those things up. And so just for our residents, we just
Yeah,
need to
no,
move
it
forward with
it wouldn't
Yeah.
be, and that's why I actually had a meeting with the manager and the Corradino, in regards to permeable or material or not, and it was in reference to your driveway. Now I remembered, because you didn't know you had to like bring it down to code, right? And it was permeable material that you did pavers on sand.
No.
You did it on concrete. So it's see, and that's the problem that a lot of new residents, and I'm new to the village, moved here 9 years ago, and the problem we have in is like you said it earlier about, you know, climate change and flooding mitigation that we're trying to do, and unfortunately the you know, people that are buying here in El Portal, they're trying to maximize the lot coverage by building, you know, building out, and that's a problem. And a lot of people don't realize that the runoff is actually, we're the last ones, and the way the streets are designed are actually the water, you know, the rainwater and everything to actually run off to the river. And so the more we paved in the village, the worse it's gonna get for all of us, especially for those closer to the Little River or the canal. So 9 years ago, I was actually, it was of my concern because my street, I'm on 89th Street in Northeast First, didn't get flood or anything. And this time around, I couldn't even see the sidewalk. So it's time for us to be aware of what's going on and act in, in a good way to help others not to have that, the issues with flooding and all of that. So that's what we're trying to accomplish over here. And that was one of the issues, law coverage and all of that. So I'm sure we are already working with, getting the code straight up and making sure that it's well interpreted and it's not,
Yeah.
in a way that
Yeah.
is inconsistent or,
Absolutely.
in another way.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Perella. Thank you very much, Councilperson Martin. So just, the way moving forward to save as much time is the variance process. Even with that process, so you need to speak with our village clerk about when that process comes, like if you guys are able to put the variance in by Chairperson Martin's next P&Z, if they're able to get the variance in by your next P&Z, you would still have to come as a registered lobbyist on behalf of your client. So speak to Clerk Jacoby about that if you can. All right.
Will do.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Anybody else good in welfare? Okay. Seeing none. Before we adjourn, just want to say happy birthday, Officer Rodriguez. Officer Rodriguez's birthday was yesterday, I believe, correct? That's right, my brother. How old are you? 16? You look like you're 12 years old. That is a compliment. You'll like that as you get older. Ask myself and Manager Lou. we appreciate that. And you definitely do. Ever since they've told me that you look like the head coach of the Dolphins, you look more and more like the head coach of the Dolphins every day. Every day I see you, I'm like, there you go. So it's there you go. But happy birthday to you, my brother, and much love and respect. And you always keep us safe, and just be safe out there. All right. Thank you very much, Officer Rodriguez. Are there any last questions or comments before I ask for a motion to adjourn? Seeing none. Can you come up? So there's good and welfare still.
I know I got here late, so maybe this was already discussed.
No problem. Come up, say your name and address for the record. How you doing?
Good, thank you. Thank you.
Say your address for us.
8700 Northeast 2nd Avenue.
Thank you very much.
What's happening with the project across the street from the duplex?
Oh, the site plan has already been approved. They're cleaning out the inside, and they're moving along.
Are they going to demolish the church?
They're not
Oh,
demolishing
good.
this church. They're keeping the whole structure. They're just cleaning up the inside.
And they're going to do multi-retail and...
It'll be some retail, it'll be cafes, it'll be a restaurant on top of offices.
Oh, cool.
Second floor offices.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Gonzalez. How's your mother doing? No.
Condolences.
No.
So sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that. Oh, okay. Oh, man. Me and Ms. Gonzalez would always talk about her mother. I had no idea. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Councilperson Urban. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing none, the regular council meeting for Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024 is adjourned at 8:50 p.m.